Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The green tide marches off to battle. At the helm is Azag the Slaughterer, and they will be going up against the Empire, led by an unknown ladder player. And we do have FNG leading the Greenskins. And for the army that he has brought today, we have a front line of Orc Biggins. We have 4 of those. We have the 8 Peak Loonies and some Goblins on the flank. But the mobility in the forefront of the formation is going to be a couple of Goblin Wolf Rider Archers and some Forest Goblin Spider Riders, a little bit of skirmishing forces, some nice high-speed units as well. Should be able to keep away from any of the Empire mobility units. We have some Orc Boy Biggins as the heavy hitters for the cavalry, and we do have a couple of Stone Trolls in the back. And with Azag the Slaughterer, he is going to be bringing Get On With It and Slagas Slashes, as well as Aspect of the Dread Knight and Spirit Leech. So a lot of leadership buffs being brought by Azag, especially to help out with the Stone Trolls, keeping them in the fight and kicking, as well as a little extra buffs to leadership and the like, and a little Spirit Leech for some damage. So it's a pretty good build here, pretty standard stuff. And then if we kind of swing on over to what the Empire has brought, we have a front line of swordsmen in the front, and we do have Sigmar's Sons, a very good ROR unit. I don't think there's many matchups where you don't really want to bring these guys. A nice unbreakable swordsman unit, does very, very well against pretty much all factions. We do have a couple Empire captains actually up in the sky. They looks like they'll be kind of running in support with Balthazar Gelt and with Azag up in this air. They could actually do some fairly decent work having 2 of them. And Balthazar Gelt is going to be bringing Flag of Rust, Final Transmutation, and Transmutation of Lead, as well as the Staff of Volans. For the mobility department, we do have some Empire Knights. We have 3 of those, and then we also have the Royal Altdorf Griffites, a very formidable mobility core here, and especially those Orc Boar Biggins are going to have their work cut out for them, especially with those Altdorf Griffites there. We do also have 3 Huntsmen as well, which they do have a nice bonus versus large, so against the Stone Trolls do have some good missile resist, but sustained fire from 3 Huntsmen could definitely do a lot of good work, especially with a nice little Plague of Rust being cast on top of that. But those are our armies, and let's get this show on the way, as the Greenskins have kind of pushed up a little bit, but the Huntsmen will push them back a little bit with some nice fire coming in. But those the Goblin Wolf Rider Archers are going to be very quick to dodge that. But yeah, these Huntsmen, they can do some pretty good work here, especially compared with that Plague of Rust can really work those Stone Trolls down fairly quickly with their bonus versus large. Even though they do have some good missile resist, it is not immunity. A nice Spirit Leech going to be going down, and one of the Empire captains is they are going to be chasing after Azag, and they should do a pretty good job being able to screen him out. They only have to worry about some Goblin Wolf Rider Archers, and they don't have poison, so you're not going to have to worry about anything like that, and their damage output's not going to be too immense, especially against these single entities. They should be able to dip and dodge pretty well. Otherwise, the mobilities of the Greenskins are kind of pushing in against the Empire, and the rest of the Empire forces are actually going to be pushing back some of these Orc Boar Biggins, especially with the Royal Altdorf Griffites. They are not going to want to be even trying that engagement. Azag, it doesn't look like he is going to be rotating around, and it might be enough, but the Empire are going to be pulling back, not getting too far extended. So a very nice play there by the Empire, as the Huntsmen are going to be opening up, firing into the 8 Peak Loonies. I think they're going to want to be saving that ammo for these larger targets, such as the cavalry and those Stone Trolls, especially Azag. But those Empire captains are going to be hounding Azag for this entire match by the looks of things. A nice charge by the Empire Knights into the 8 Peak Loonies, and they will be pulling right back, getting some nice damage there while the shots continue to rain in. More shots going into some goblins there. Not exactly the best target for them, but Azag is going to be kind of pushing off these Empire Knights and the Royal Altdorf Griffites a bit. And that little loons going through here. It looks like it was trying to catch out some of these Empire Knights, but it does miss their mark, maybe doing a little bit of extra damage to these units. But another nice charge here, doing a lot of good damage. These Orc Biggins are going to be kind of coming in though, but another charge by these Empire Knights into the flank of these units, going to be doing some good work there. And both of these knights, I expect, are going to be wanting to pull back fairly quickly. Empire Captains continuing to do good work there, keeping them off. Looks like there was a Spirit Leech on these Royal Outdoor Griffites, as they have lost a bit of health. There is no healing for the Empire, so they will be taking some damage. But so that's probably the best way for the Greenskins to deal with them is some Spirit Leeches here and there. These Empire Knights seem to have gotten stuck in engagement for a little too long, especially now with the Stone Trolls coming in. These Orc Biggins definitely can do a lot of damage, as the Wah is also popped right now. So yeah, they definitely have to be very wary of these Orc Biggins. If they cycle charge in and out, they should be able to keep from taking too much damage. Otherwise, the Empire Knights rotating around, quickly dealing with the Forest Goblin Spider Riders and the Orc Biggins, doing a very nice kind of counter there, as Transmutation of Lead Overcast getting a minus 60% weapon damage and 24 melee attack, and that will be routing off one of the Orc Boar Biggins. If the Empire is able to pull a unit off to push them off, they are pretty close to that white line. Even Balthazar might be enough to keep them from coming in, but these Stone Trolls doing some very good work. Nothing that's able to really punish them right now. These Huntsmen are getting very close to being pushed off right now, as a lot of the frontline state troops are being routed. These Sigmar Sons are going to be holding very well, and these Empire Captains doing some decent work to Azag, though they are getting a little bit surrounded by these Orc Boar Biggins at this point. And things not maybe might be looking so good for them, especially if Azag does turn to attack them. The Empire is being pushed back, though, on pretty much all fronts. They still have a very good mobility core left, and the Huntsmen are still at very good health right now. But the Green Tide is pushing into that back line very, very quickly, and it could prove to be just a little too much, though one of the Stone Trolls has been pushed off right now. And if these Royal Outdoor Griffites are able to kind of do a little bit extra damage, though they are needed in support of in this middle fight here, as both of the Empire Captains are going to be pushed off. Yeah, I think if those Royal Outdoor Griffites had gotten into that engagement, they might have been able to salvage them, but right now they are being pushed off, and this mess of an engagement over here, as the Green Tide is pushing through, being able to get on top of these Huntsmen, routing off one unit, but otherwise the Empire Knights are still pretty free to engage where they want. The one unit is going to be pushed off as well. Balthazar Gelt still very, very healthy, though, as we do have another Spirit Leech going down onto this routing Empire Captain, and that might just be enough to keep him out of the fight. And now Azag should have free reign in the skies, as long as he's able to stay clear of the Huntsmen, who are being pushed, though, off the map in various areas. So both of these units are going to be pressured off. We still have some swordsmen here. They might be able to peel off these Orc Biggins for a time being, but the Orc Biggins, they will make quick work of these swordsmen. Very good frontline unit, and I'm expecting another Wah should be available before too long. But the Royal Outdoor Griffites pushing off the second unit of Orc Boar Boys, and even these Stone Trolls as well. And I think the Empire's way back is going to have to be in their mobility, as they do have the advantage there, and they need to keep these Royal Outdoor Griffites very, very healthy. And pretty much Azag, who is now very, very far away at this point, he's not going to be able to really help out, as one of the Empire Captains has been able to come back. So at the time being right now, these and here is that second Wah, but with Azag so far away, this is going to be the opportunity for the Empire to kind of make their push back, especially with these Royal Outdoor Griffites. They are getting very close to routing off these Orc Boar Biggins, but the second unit does come in, but these Empire Knights should get a nice little charge here. And those Royal Outdoor Griffites, though, they are on danger low in health, and that was really their big unit to kind of deal with, especially the Stone Trolls. And a lot of units are starting to shatter for the Empire, so things are not looking so hot for them. And Balthazar Gelt is not going to be able to carry the day on his own. And there go the Royal Altdorf Griffites. I think engaging during that Wah was maybe the wrong choice there. If they had waited until that Wah had subsided, they may have sustained a bit less damage and been able to push those Greenskin cavalry off a little quicker. But yeah, definitely the Greenskins looking very, very strong. Lots of very healthy infantry units. These Orc Biggins should be able to do quite well. And I mean, even cycle charging with all the Empire Knights against this even isolated unit of Orc Biggins just isn't able to really break them quickly enough. And especially with the advent of these Stone Trolls now, these Empire Knights are gonna take a ton of damage, and they're not gonna be able to really dish out the damage in return. So the Stone Trolls at this point, I think, are just going to be able to hard carry the Greenskins even without the support of any other units right now. The Empire just doesn't have anything left that can deal with them. We have the Staff of Olins going down, but there's getting a little bit extra magic. But unless you get a very, very juicy overcast, well, we have a Transmutational Lead. Had that been a overcasted Final Transmutation, it may have been enough to do a nice bit of damage. But yeah, as things are, not looking so hot for the Empire, as the only thing that's really left holding that balance of power is Balthasar Gelt himself, and it does look like army losses are going to be kicking in, and that will be our match, as the Greenskins will take it. Take a quick little look at the after battle report. Real after Griff fights, they did fairly well. I mean, 111 kills, that's pretty good work, especially against these Orc Boar Boy Biggins. However, I mean, if they had a bit of healing, they may have been able to sustain themselves a bit more and lasted throughout. But if you're taking Gelt, you're not really looking to have any of that healing. And there just wasn't enough, I guess, stopping power for the Empire here in that front line, because these Orc Biggins, they just absolutely chewed through the Statesmen for the Empire, and they just weren't able to hold that line for long enough to allow the Huntsmen to really do their work. And I mean, the Empire Knights, had they been able to get some nice hammer and anvils off as they had engaged that front line, it may have been enough to really whittle down those Orc Biggins and allowed the Huntsmen to get shots into the Stone Trolls. But yeah, just how quickly that front line broke did not do any favors for the Empire, as the Green Tide quickly washed over their defenses. But it was a very fun match there, with some good plays on both sides. That will be our video for today, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you did enjoy, and as always, have a good one.